Hello everyone. So let's continue our SQL series. So in this lecture, we will discussing about why we use data types. But before discussing this, let's first of all try to understand why do we have a data types in SQL. So as a SQL developer, we must decide what types of data we will store inside our column or inside our particular database. So the data type is a guidelines for SQL to understand what types of data is expected inside of each column, and it is also identify how SQL will interact with the stored data. So for example, let's say we have a database the named as a employee. Okay, we have a employer database, and under employer database we want to add some data. We want to insert some values inside our employee database. So for this we can create a table. Okay, so we have a table, right? Name, address. Okay, we have a name, employee address. Okay, employer phone number we have. Okay, and many more. So whenever we are defining the table, we can mention it. Okay, name we can define as a string, and under the string we can define varchar, right? Address again is a string, so under string we can define varchar. Okay, under varchar we can define the value. Okay, like a 30 we can define here 30. Okay, and 30 it means like 1 to 29 later we can write here under the varchar address. Okay, third we have a phone number it means it's the integer value. Okay, so we can define, okay, 10, integer value 10, it means we have, mainly we have a 10 digit number, phone number. Okay, so we can define 10 here. Okay, so the data type is a guidelines for SQL to understand, okay, which types of data we can add under this particular SQL database or particular column. Okay, that's why we are defining a data type. Okay, now next, why we use a data type. Now let's continue with the why we use a data type. So a data type is an attribute that specifies the type of the data that can object can hold. It means we can add any types of data under our any database, a specific database, or we can add any types of data in our particular column whenever we are creating a new table. Okay, in our database, so we can define, okay, these types of data we can add here, this types of data we can add here in this particular column, right? So a data type is an attribute that specifies the type of data that the object can hold. So we can add an integer data, we can add a character data, we can add a date time data, we can add a binary string data, and many more things we can add it. Okay, so we have a let me open my txt here, notepad, sorry. Okay, and under the notepad, let me show you here. You can see we have a some employee table. Okay, I'm writing here create table employee details. Okay, create table employee details. After that, I'm writing here employee ID number, employee ID. Employee ID, it means a number. Whenever people are writing an employee ID, it means this is the integer number. Okay, so that's why I'm writing the integer number, and value I'm taking the 4. But here I'm writing the not null. It means whenever people are inserting a value under the employee ID, it means you can fill this form, you cannot not fill. Okay, so whenever you are writing or inserting a value, make sure you can fill this particular column. Otherwise, if you not fill, it means it's not accept your data. Okay, second, I'm writing the first name varchar I'm defining. It means it's a string because varchar available under the string data, right? String data type. Again writing I'm last name varchar, salary money, it means it's a integer value. CT whenever we are writing varchar is a string, and primary key we are showing as a employee ID. Okay, because everyone have the different employee ID. Like here my employee ID is 21. Okay, and the another, and we cannot assign same employee ID to another member. Here the employee ID is Shivan, employee ID is 21, so we cannot assign same employee ID to another member. Okay, if we assign the same employee ID, it means a duplicate, right? So that's why we are assigning here the primary key. It means whenever we are defining the employee ID, it's a shown as a primary key. Okay, primary key, it means we cannot assign same value or same data to a both member. Okay, to a different member. No, primary key, it means we can define same ID to a particular user or particular member. Okay, so guys, I hope it's clear what is data type and why we use data type. Okay, so if you have any query, please write in the comment section, guys. Okay, let's see you in the next video. Thank you.